I'm James Demer, the audio nomad, and today we're going to have a conversation with my friend and work colleague, Sam van Geleuken. Sam and I work together as reality audio mixers on the TV show Survivor. And when Sam isn't on Survivor, she's at home in Toronto, Ontario, where she also does reality TV, narrative, movies and television, and some post-production work. We're going to learn a little bit about what work is like on Survivor and what kind of audio work she does and what kind of gear she uses when she's at home in Canada. All right. Sam van Geleuken, welcome to the Audio Nomad.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. Why don't you tell people how we know each other?
How we know each other? We both work on the Survivor.
We're both reality audio mixers, which is pretty cool.
I would say so.
And you have the distinction of being not only the only female reality audio mixer on the last two seasons we just finished filming, 47 and 40, but you're also the youngest, as I recall. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Tell me, what was that experience like for you, being not only the only female and I'd say sort of a male-dominated area of Survivor, but also the youngest. Yeah, what was that like for you?
The more I go back, the less weird it gets. I would say the first two years that I did, there was definitely an element of like, whether it be external or internal pressure.
Yeah.
Of like, I can't just show up and people are going to assume I was hired because I was capable of the job.
Yeah.
There's definitely an amount that I have to prove that I can do just by doing it and letting people see that over time. But it's hard to distinguish that because it goes hand in hand in like with me being at the start of my career, especially then, like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, you started on Survivor in 2021, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't start as a reality audio mixer. You were one of the audio assists or an A2. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Before we dive into the whole Survivor thing, why don't you tell me how you got started in being your career as an audio person in the first place? How'd you get started?
Yeah, I went to school for music production. Well, that was my intention when I went to school. I went to school for audio in general. It was a private, fast-tracked, condensed program on all things audio recording. So that's music production, live sound for music, live sound for corporate, and sound for film, and post-production as well. And that program exposed me to the existence of sound for film. I thought I was going to be in a music studio for the rest of my life, recording and producing music, which I decided when I was like 14. So being introduced to a whole new industry that basically has all the right things that makes me enjoy a job was pretty lucky.
Yeah, I think, for me, one of the appeals to doing location audio mixing was just the travel. Not being stuck in a studio is certainly, it fits my lifestyle. Like,
totally.
For you, is it the same?
For sure. I mean, and there's some jobs where I'm stuck in a studio. I'm not sure if that's the case for you. But just being able to change it up. Like I'm not stuck in the same 9 to 5, 5 days a week for every week out of the year except for 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a huge appeal for every job is a change in environment, a change in difficulties and challenges, and a change in people. And it's different lengths.
Yeah, I think that's it for me as well. Like, if you love the people you're working with, chances are pretty good you'll work with them again. And if you don't like the people you're working with, it's pretty easy to just get through your job and kind of decide you don't have to accept work with
and never see them ever again.
Yeah, maybe.
But
tell me a little bit about what a day looks like for you. I know what it is, but the people watching this really don't have a clue, what we do. So maybe start us out like when your alarm clock goes off.
So my alarm clock goes off at 3 a.m. sharp. And I get up and I wash my face and brush my teeth and make a coffee, and I go to catering and they reject me, and then I go down to tech and jam my time code and pack up my gear and grab my batteries, and then I check catering again and they might take me.
Why do you get rejected?
Because it's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And even though the call sheet says that they're open,
yeah,
they're not open.
Yeah. I think for me, like, they're usually, the door is open, but like they might have the egg station out, but there's no like bread or anything to put an egg on. Or maybe like they have muesli out, but there's no milk or no yogurt or no fruit. Like
no spoons.
Yeah, no spoons. Yeah, that's a really good.
Yeah, I will hand scoop my yogurt.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you slurp some yogurt down from the palm of your hand, and then you get you go back to the dock.
Suck back a pack of dry muesli.
Yeah, pack some dry muesli.
And then you get on a boat and you commute to work, which is off the island. It's a different island.
And it's in the dark?
And it's in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the dark. So you set up, you get there, you unpack, you set up your camera and your batteries, and you run tone and bars, and you set up your IR camera and your headlamp and all that, and you walk down to the contestants and hopefully they're sleeping. And just kind of sit there and monitor until somebody wakes up, and that could mean sometimes they're bright and early, right at it. Sometimes they just want to go watch the sunrise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there doing reality coverage for 3 to 4 hours until your lunch break. And you do it again after lunch, and you go home.
So what kind of headphones do you use when you're working on Survivor?
Sony 7506s are the issued pair of headphones.
Okay. So they give you those headphones?
Yes.
To use. Yeah. And you like them?
They're fine. I like that they're not mine.
It's hard to hold a boom pole over your head for 10 hours a day, especially when it's fully extended and you've got a very, very heavy MKH70 Sennheiser mic on the end. How do you alleviate that fulcrum weight?
Sure. I personally use a counterweight.
Uh-huh.
I know some other people don't.
On the back of your boom pole?
On the back of your boom pole. So it screws in on the back, and it's, how much do you think it weighs? Like 3 pounds?
Yeah, a couple pounds, probably 2-3 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps. What do you do? I'm asking a leading question about your headphones. I'm not doing a very good job. Do you do anything special?
Oh. I tape foam on the top of my headphones.
Yeah. And why? What does that do?
It just provides some protection and cushion,
Yeah.
because holding a boom above your head is impossible for 10 hours, and often we rest it on top of our head.
So what are you listening for? Like, tell me a little bit about, is it like critical listening, or are you just trying to get, dialogue? Like, how do you listen for 10 hours a day?
Survivor is, I mean, as you know, as we both do the job, um, is more of an intelligibility and capturing job as opposed to a fidelity job. You're not necessarily getting the boom right here all the time on every single contestant.
Yeah.
You're working as a team with every crew to cover what's naturally happening around you.
Yeah.
And that's entirely decided by the contestants playing the game.
I'm thinking of an example of like where maybe you and I are on the beach and the contestants are facing a sun that's setting. And now, like, if we're standing in front of them, our shadows are all over them.
Yeah.
How would we, tell the audience how we would like overcome a situation like that?
I mean, either we're trying to beat the shadow and cast it off somewhere between them or behind them or out of frame on their lap, or we're scooping so the boom is not in the air anymore. It's kind of on the ground, but that's not really ideal. But sometimes, I mean, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
In Survivor.
Yeah.
But the reason that's not ideal is that it's a big stick that gets in the way of everything, and
yeah,
the mic behaves differently when it's pointed up instead of down. And
yeah, it's crazy. Those are all the things that people who don't do this for a living would never, ever think about.
No. And sometimes it's just the best spot.
Yeah.
To be.
Like if they're in the shelter and the shelter is right over their heads and they're whispering and all you can do is shove that mic up from beneath into their face.
Yeah, just jam it in there.
Just hope for the best. Hope your camera operator gets a nice tight shot.
Frame it out, yeah.
Yeah, so when you're home and you're maybe doing some post-production work, because I know you do that. Do you use speakers, headphones? Like what's your source that you listen to when you're mixing someone else's audio or your own audio?
Yeah, I use a pair of Focal Shape 40s.
Oh, nice.
Which are speakers, studio monitors.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do most of my editing and mixing through those speakers, so I can listen to the show as it fills the space that I'm listening in, like my studio or my living room or whatever. And I also check my mix on different pairs of headphones.
Oh, okay, cool. What kind of headphones do you have?
I have a pair of AKG K702s.
Classic.
Which are open back, beautiful, airy sounding pair of headphones, very comfortable. And I have a pair of The Audio. I don't know what they're called, but
they're called the Ghost because I gave them to you.
Because you gave them to me. That I have not yet used on a professional project, but I've been creating music and listening to documentaries and movies and music with, and the price difference between the two headphones are worlds apart, but the quality is annoyingly comparable.
Yeah, those Ghosts are so good. I have some Focal Clears that I use at home, but I'll find myself going for the Ghost often because they're light and they just stay put on my head better than the Clears do, which tend to slide around a little.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the Clears feel better. I think it's like it's better quality, but the but the Ghost,
Yeah.
they're just so much less expensive, and I love the way they sound too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cheap.
So cheap.
And very flat.
Yeah, it's a flat frequency response, but still fun for music and still fun for movies and stuff.
I feel like flat's the only fun frequency response. Maybe I shouldn't get into that.
Oh, no, please, let's get into this. This is good.
Because any other frequency response is an inaccurate representation of what the artist and the engineer was trying to deliver to you.
I feel the same way about tube versus solid state amps. I think tubes color the sound in a way that the engineer wasn't intending for you to listen to the music. And I know we're going to stir the pot. So
you don't feel that the engineer made the choice of using the tube amp because that's the sound that he wanted?
Oh, I think if it's like if it's a guitar amp and they're recording that in that way, but I think a playback amplifier like my home amp,
I understand.
is a solid state that has a flat frequency response. Where if you look at tube amps, they tend to color the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But hey, if you're watching this and you disagree, let us know below. I guess they say.
Don't tell me that you disagree.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Keep it to yourself. We actually don't want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Last question. Montreal bagels versus New York style bagels.
I haven't had a New York style bagel, I have to admit.
Oh, okay. Those are Canadian fighting words. I actually like a Montreal style bagel, but a really good New York bagel.
Do you?
Yeah, I think they're good. I mean, the seasoning is a little strange, but.
You find it strange? I find it's the texture that is different.
Yeah.
I find them very grainy.
The topping or the bagel itself?
The bagel itself.
Yeah, I think a Montreal style bagel has a really nice density, nice chewy, yet still has a kind of the harder shell. It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Cool.
I still prefer Vermont maple syrup over Canadian maple syrup, but we can leave it there.
Have you tested them side by side?
Yes.
Is that the truth?
Because I'm a freak like that. I did test but to be fair, it was a Vermont delicate grade A and just a standard Canadian maple syrup. So I'd say it was an apples to oranges comparison.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe next time we meet up in Fiji, we'll have to bring some bagels and some maple syrup.
If weight permits.
If luggage weight permits. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not sacrificing coffee space for some Canadian maple syrup, especially when I can get it on the beach.
That's true. They do provide us with Canadian maple syrup. And the coffee's terrible, so we got to bring our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Well, Sam, thanks for the chat, and enjoy the rest of your Canadian summer. And
thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you tune in to see more engaging audio content in the future. This video is brought to you by Linsol.com. I love them because they sell some of the most fun and innovative in-ear monitor products, headphones, DAC amps, cables, generally all kinds of cool stuff that I love listening to and using, and my guess is you probably will too. So check them out in the link below. If you like what you saw in this video, definitely like and subscribe, and feel free to comment. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching.